I'd be absolutely wonderfully delighted to. Previously on Dark Heresy.
Episode 37. Judge, Jury, and Executioner. The party was split. It was one day after the orbital assault. Arnold had been slaughtering servitors and had simply lost track of the time. Yarn changed his mind about the Book of Lies. He had fought to use it to save Arnold from the demoniac Phobos. But he reconsidered. Some things were too heinous to use, even in the service of the God Emperor. Some lines should not be crossed. He decided instead to have the item contained. Yarn, the Shepherd of Souls, the psychopomp, he rejected the path of the radical or the heretic. Yarn walked firmly upon the lawful path. Quintius slept a deep and refreshing sleep. In his dream he laboured in the forge upon a masterwork with Alexa by his side. Alexa worked in reality, fashioning a component to improve the reliability of her machine gun. Cell 53 all grouped up at the briefing room for their scheduled meeting with the Inquisitor. In the briefing room there was a greater show of force than usual. Kiyoshi was there, as was Yuki Gleeflesh and 8 Inquisitorial Guard. The most pressing matter was the execution carried out by Yarn the night before. The Inquisitor listened to his explanation and, instead of sanctioning him, he praised his leadership. The Malevolence needed people to step up and lead. The ship was poor in a number of ways. Crew, officer corps, munitions, bank and trade assets being drained over the course of the campaign. The ship was limping along, damaged, low on food. Morale was at rock bottom. The Inquisitor asked Arnold what he would do if he was asked to give up the axe upon pain of death. Arnold tried, but he could not do it. This seemed to prove Yarn's point. The axe had its claws deep into his mind. The Inquisitor wanted to keep Arnold intact. The campaign depended upon it. He must be persuaded to give up the axe voluntarily. Otherwise he would go berserk and be slain in the aftermath. The Inquisitor challenged Yarn as to why he'd chosen to stay loyal to him when Spinebreaker, supported by Astartes, and appeared as a Puritan. Yarn had picked the right side, he said, but why? Spinebreaker seemed like a natural fit for Yarn. Spinebreaker walked the lawful path. Quintius was scolded for putting his feet upon the table. Lucius then spoke of the next stage in the campaign. The ship was en route to Ridge Station, where Quintius and Nixios would act as rogue traders and buy and sell assets, hire mercenaries or skilled crew, and gather intelligence to aid in the coming journey. In the meanwhile, everyone had some free time to pursue their own objectives. Lucius spoke of the trading done thus far. He seemed pleased overall, but demanded an explanation as to why mutant slaves had been purchased. He was furious. 4 generations of House Alexander had journeyed into the Expanse, recovering the artifact paintings and enriching both House and the greater Imperium through trade. But not once had they resorted to slavery. Some things are abhorrent. But worse, mutant slaves. Lucius demanded that Quintius explain his actions. Quintius stated that the purpose of such was to provide research data to combat the miasma's corruption. He decided to absolve himself of all responsibility here and to throw Nixios under the Cargo 6. He lied, and his lie came out flawlessly. Surely, no one was any the wiser. The Inquisitor gave nothing away, but seemed to accept the explanation. The mutants were dangerous, especially the floating demonic brain thing. That was a risk to the whole goddamn ship. It would have to be dealt with one way or another. But that was a problem for another day. Lucius spoke of the fresh recruits that Jagannatha brought from the swamp world. They would need to be integrated into the ship and trained, a nigh impossible task. Quintius had a cunning plan to turn about the fortunes of the ship. He showed a soul stone that he had looted from the planet below. An expensive and rare item. He flicked it at the Inquisitor across the table. His aim was either very good or very bad. The gemstone knocked over the Inquisitor's red wine of inestimable value, and the bottle teetered and tipped onto the drinking glass and onto the floor, shattering and spraying the Inquisitor's immaculate uniform. There was dark red wine in his hair and on his face. Kiyoshi bristled and partly drew Kazushini. Lucius kept a tight grip upon his anger, even as he reached down to retrieve the stone and cut himself. The stone was undoubtedly valuable, but the trade of a rogue trader was on another order of magnitude. He flicked the gem back towards Quintius. It looked as if it would bounce off of the table. Yarn captured the gem with his mind, and it hovered over the center of the table using telekinesis. Alexa, who had been tasked with securing a soul stone for her side quest only hours ago by the technomancer Xerxes, did not react.
Subtle.
She seemed oblivious. She was, after all, running at 85% efficiency.
Subtle.
Intolerable.
Masterful subtlety there.
Intolerable. Shocking. Shocking. Outside the ship, the constellation of stars known as the Metachikin looked on accusingly. Lucius drew the meeting to a close shortly after. Yarn wanted to discuss matters of containment of the cursed items, but the Inquisitor insisted on cleaning up first. Arnold couldn't resist the appeal of the floor wine and gave it a try. It was very good. Perhaps the finest drink he had ever tasted. Again the party went their separate ways. Arnold decided that ship's morale was the most pressing concern, and that food was the best way to improve morale. He secured an interview with the King Cook, Horace Horatio Butterfield. Horace agreed. But what was he to do? Food was tightly rationed upon the ship. He had just organised and dispersed a huge feast to celebrate the victory. But he couldn't just give out food to satisfy all on board. Resources were slim. The ship had been away from the Imperium for too long. Most of the crew dined on nutrient paste, although the trade envoys had secured some salt fish to bolster this. Arnold convinced the king cook to let him take a trolley of foodstuffs and water for him to tread the ship and bolster morale. Butterfield seemed eager to curry favour with Quintius and Nixios, using Arnold to do so. Secure more food for the ship, meat, fruit, anything. Morale depended upon it. Quintius had been asked to visit Laura Skysinger if he survived the orbital assault. She had something for him. When he arrived, his normal easy-going grace and social airs seemed to desert him. The actor kept fluffing his lines, mispronouncing her name, and digging himself into a deeper and deeper hole. Laura smiled her secretive half-smile. She was undoubtedly well aware of what effect her looks could have on other people. Laura brought a warning. The Inquisitor was furious with him for the purchase of the mutant slaves. But how did he know? Quintius asked. Laura reports to the Inquisitor, and she holds nothing back. In fact, she counselled against it. Lucius and Jagannatha were well informed. They seemed to know everything that went on board the ship. This brought Quintius Tarquinius Thespis III to something approaching despair. He had lied to the Inquisitor moments before, blaming the indiscretion with the slaves on Nixius' wrath. The lie had been delivered perfectly, and Lucius had not reacted. If only he had seen Laura prior to his interview with the Inquisitor. If only he had not sedated himself with his own spiked hit flask. Perhaps all of this could have been avoided. Laura, who seemed to understand the politics of the ship, advised that Nixios enjoyed the Inquisitor's favour. He had been promoted to strike leader and received his own servo skull. Nixius' star was rising, and Quintius was unwise to set himself against him. She also seemed to have a thirst for gossip, asking about the execution of Eric Icebreaker last night. Quintius backed his ally up. Yarn would not have taken such a decision lightly, and if he believed it was necessary, then necessary it was. Quintius and Laura made a deal. She would try and keep him out of further trouble, and he would provide her with her heart's truest desire. Laura's eyes twinkled, and again she smiled her strange little smile. She came to the reason that she had invited Quintius. The two of them had arranged for Nixios to purchase the mutant slaves from Orpheus IV at some loss of standing to them both. But they had also arranged, as a secondary matter, for the purchase of a manservant. Jeeves, young, well-trained, but possessing of a dreadful, nervous tic. He would have to do. Laura signed over the deeds of ownership to Quintius, provided him with a data slate, and showed him how to set off the explosive collar with it. She gave it a practice run. A dreadful beeping sound emitted from the collar, and a red light flashed. Jeeves lost his nerve. Laura cancelled the detonation, and chided Jeeves. They wouldn't have gone to all this effort to bring him on board just to blow his head off. Quintius rolled the dice, and asked if he and Laura could meet again, on business matters. They could perhaps have a meal, and see a show. Laura was far too busy in her duties as assistant to the Master of Coin. She changed the subject. She spoke of a woman who Jagannatha had brought up from the swamp world. She had helped her settle in. Her name was Melissa. Supposedly, Quintius cared for her. That is why she'd been brought on board. Perhaps he could have dinner with Melissa instead. Quintius wasn't used to rejection, but he had little choice but to leave with Jeeves. Alexa headed towards the technical workshop. A small servo skull came up to her and beckoned for her to follow it. The skull led her to a secret door, which in turn led to a winding claustrophobic route to the overdecks. Here, tucked away in secrecy, was a chamber set up to allow connection with the ship via an electrograft. It seemed to have been made just for her. The ship was glad to meld with Alexa again and wanted to do something together. The ship wanted to play a game.
Jigsaw, the ship to be the Jigsaw ship. Want to play a game?
It would be fun. Two hapless engineers were trying to repair an outer airlock door, but the door was not broken. The ship was only pretending. The ship seemed alive, sentient. She wanted to space the engineers. They were less than human and bred at an accelerated rate. The Inquisitor allowed them permission to breed, unlike the other crew. Also, the engineers worshipped the ship like a goddess. It was an honor for them to sacrifice themselves as such. Alexa was easily convinced. She opened the outer door. The engineers went down to their knees in worship or supplication. It was a horrible way to die, but at least it was over quick. Yarn had another waking vision. He knew that it would come. He saw the path to Alexa's damnation. The ship was evil or haunted. It was malevolent, and Alexa was melding with it. She must be persuaded to give up her connection to the ship willingly. Only then could her soul be saved. Elsewise, she would become one of the lost and the damned. Arnold and Alexa, their routes to salvation were clear to Yarn. Only Quintius's future was still clouded. Yarn was the shepherd of souls. He could save them. He could save them all. He could steer them all away from the path of chaos. Alexa then used the opportunity of melding with the ship to assist the Technomancer with his repairs, routing work teams and relaying data. She then went to use with the augers to detect nearby nodes of minerals and metals in the system, finding some rich seams for exploitation. Then she summoned Bodo Ott to a meeting in the technical workshop and started to check the inventories for mining equipment.
Amazing.
The Malevolence was a warship and a rogue trader and not set up for mining operations, but it did have a lot of assets, and some of which could be converted towards this. And Alexa could probably fashion mining equipment from first principles if she set her mind to it. She could make anything. She was only limited by her imagination. Yarn met Lucius and Jagannatha in the Inquisitor's personal audience chamber. Kiyoshi stood guard. The room showed wealth befitting of a rogue trader, but it was the 5 artifact paintings, painted by Erroneous Gelt, paintings that seemed to capture the miasma beautifully, that attracted the most attention. The shaman decided that something was amiss about the paintings. They were not natural. But of course they were not. Had not House Alexander travelled to the Coronis Expanse over 4 generations to retrieve them all? the Inquisitor was looking immaculate again and enjoyed another glass of priceless red wine. He shared a glass with both Yarn and Jagannatha, and they discussed how to contain the prescribed items. Together, Yarn and Jagannatha would make these items safe. Okay guys, that's where we'll begin today's game, but firstly I'm going to go for a slash. I'll be right back.
Oh, that's some pretty cool shit you asked the ship to do there, Johnny. Very cool.
Yeah, like
It's super productive. Very impressed.
it is cool. Like it's the mass. I think it's a whole ship, so I've got to think like a ship rather than what a ship can do, rather than what Alexa can do. And stuff
You
as
are
well.
the whole factory. All its
Yeah.
assets.
That's basically that's what I was trying to. I think I had a rare moment of clarity. I think there.
Oh, amazing. I missed that. That's a bit shame. I might go back and watch that. Just,
It was pretty cool. I like venting the engineers in space as well. That was quite fun. You know,
there's some really good creative ideas there for practical creative. I'm
Just,
so on board.
just to get sort of like just to get things more efficient and stuff. Not good having a knackered ship, is it?
Oh, and if you can source and make your own metal, you can also enhance the ship if you repair it.
This is it exactly. So make it even better than it was before.
Better possessed battle badge.
Yeah,
Okay
It's a-
guys,
productive version of itself.
Yeah. That's it.
so we're going to begin with
These
Yarn
two
today.
arms.
Are you alright guys? What's up?
Oh no, nothing. It was just what happened with the stuff that Alexa did with the ship.
Yeah, she did some good.
Cool.
And you're still, by the way, you're that's where you'll start today's game, in that same place, so you can still mess around with the ship.
Yeah.
Where you are. And the other thing is that you know where that location is now. It's like a secret
Mhm.
room, and you now know where it is, so you can return to that place at any time.
Can I make an assessment to see whether I can recharge there?
You can. Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to be Yarn's turn. We're going to start first, but when you say recharge, you mean like sleep there and power your battery and stuff like that. And the answer to that is yes, you
Yeah.
can. But we're going to start with Yarn today. Like I say, because it's 4 players, we're going to have to spend a bit of time with each of you, so you'll be sat out quite a bit as it stands.
No worries.
There's no real way around that unless you all get together and do stuff together. So.
I'm working on my first ever painting commission anyway. So.
Oh yeah, nice one. Who are you working for?
Yeah, I'm just working for mate Tony that I do the bolt action with. He
right.
never gets a chance to
Ah.
So he basically said he'll pay me if I paint his guys for him. I was like, well, yeah, if you want,
Cool.
there's something to do, and it's just practice and
Yeah, I mean, I could do with some money myself. I was looking at, I can maybe swap my current account, because some people are willing to pay like some serious money in order for you to just ditch your current account and move accounts. So I might have a look at that, and I keep hoping that Hayden will offer me some work sometime, and a bit of labouring I won't mind. So nudge, wink, wink. Say no more.
I don't do weekends much.
Oh no, well I'll have to take some days off and come work for you.
yeah. More profitable.
But yeah, I mean it's getting tough for everyone, I think, and so it's only going to be getting worse, I think. So, but anyway, but we're here to forget about all that. We're going to start with Yarn today, please. And Yarn. Before we get started, I just wanted to raise a point of order about last session. When you finished the debriefing, it was Yuki Gleeflesh who took the Book of Lies, and then later on, when you met in the Inquisitor's personal audience chamber, Jan, you then pulled out the Book of Lies again, which I didn't pull you up on, and it, because I didn't want to interrupt the flow and what have you. So just to kind of retcon it a bit, the Book of Lies was already there in the chamber, and Leafesh had taken it there. Okay, so because you brought the book out, and then we had a little conversation about it. So, but at the you didn't actually have it on you, is what I was saying. Okay, so it doesn't really affect anything, but just to raise that. So. Jan, you are standing in the Inquisitor's personal audience chamber with Jagannafa and Lucius. Now let me just hold on a sec. I'm going to have a play around with some music today and see how this works. See if that's if it's too loud, let me know. Right, so you're in the audience chamber with Jagannafa and Lucius, and the red wine that you drink is without peer. And 5 priceless works of art stare down at you from the wall, each arranged in a manner to complement each other. And each is painted in a different style by what can only be presumed to be a tragic genius. But there is something about these paintings unnatural, something amiss. And you knew this must be true. I mean, why else would the Inquisitor lead campaign after campaign into the furthest, most dangerous reaches of the expanse to recover them? His life's quest, and that of 4 generations of House Alexander, is an obsession spanning centuries. And his collection is now complete. The key to power over the miasma. The key to close it forever. The miasma is growing exponentially, and one day it will cover all things, and the material realm will be a new realm of chaos. Kiyoshi, you are here too. You stand behind Jan, sheeny sheathed. You do not understand why Jan has been allowed here. Yesterday, he slaughtered one of Lucius's personal guard without permission. And now the Inquisitor hosts this savage in his private audience chamber. You have seen the Inquisitor like few do, due to the amount of time that you spend by his side. His decisions so often seem questionable, sometimes insane, and this is one of those decisions. You vow, Kiyoshi, that if Jan makes any move against the Inquisitor, that you shall prevent it. Jagannafa speaks to you, Jan.
I have had some thoughts on what we can do to contain the heretical items. Benny owes me a favor or two. I shall call upon him. He will see me.
I'd like you to make an awareness test, sight-based, please, Jan. Okay, Jan, you see that when Jagannafa says this, Lucius smiles before he quickly brings his face back under control. He doesn't normally give much away, Lucius. He normally keeps quite a good poker face. Jagannafa continues, he says,
And I will need your assistance in fashioning wards. The cycle of your strength will make the task much easier.
I would be honored to learn more about the knowledge required to contain such items.
Jagannafa nods.
Says, yes. We will begin tomorrow.
He raises his glass of red wine towards you, drinks it, and he nods at you, each of you in turn, Lucius, Jan, and Kiyoshi. Then he takes his leave. Lucius is staring on the 5 paintings but his attention is upon the heart, the painting that you recovered a day ago on the orbital assault. He talks to you. He says, was there anything else you wish to discuss with me, Jan?
Oh, probably.
Don't worry, mate. You don't have to rush it. What? He'll carry on then. You have a little think.
Oh, I was in the zone today. I woke up late and it's just been a blur of getting food ready and getting to eat.
Buddy, don't worry about it, man. And like I say, if you think of anything, like, you know what I mean? If you think of anything later that you really want to say at this moment, then we can always kind of retcon it a little bit. You know what I mean? It's all fine. But I'll carry on then, okay?
Can I have a moment to peruse these paintings, man?
Please. And Lucius's eyes light up. He goes, they are wondrous, are they not? And he moves to the side slightly and lets you stand where he was stood, in this kind of perfect position to view them all at once, or to look at any one of them individually, in detail. And as you look closer and closer at them, the sense of unnaturalness becomes more pronounced. They really do capture the truth of the warp rift in a way that a painting should not be able to.
There's something else, man. They go beyond mere art. These are profound.
And Lucius nods, and you see that he's also looking at the painting still. He seems somewhat captivated by them. And he says to you, Jan, your continued loyalty does mean a great deal to me. Without you, without each of Cell 53 at my side, cannot foresee a successful end to this campaign. I'm glad that you chose me over Spinebreaker. I still do not understand it, but I do know that you would be an implacable foe. You do know that Spinebreaker will never forgive you, nor forget that you turned his offer down. That path is closed to you. Spinebreaker... Go on, sorry.
Go ahead.
Were you going to say something, buddy, or do you want me to carry on?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Like say, like sometimes, yeah. I try and get a little pause if you want to jump in, and then, yeah. Where are we? So he says, Spinebreaker is the type to bear a grudge, and I should know. Took something from him, something he could not stand to lose, and he has pursued me all the way out here.
Was it
the very edge?
Man?
No, I'm afraid he's never had one of those. And he smiles at that. And it seems to be a genuine smile. Yes, he's pursued me all the way out to the edge of charted space and devoted all of his resources into toppling me. You may regret your choice to join me.
I've just figured out what it might have, why he might be chasing and hold a grudge against thing. I've got a theory. I'll message you on.
If you like, okay.
Yeah.
I of course will never confirm or deny your.
Okay.
Anyway, he says, what's happening there? So I'll look forward to that. Anyway, he says to you, Jan, he says, it doesn't matter whether it is Spinebreaker who defeats me, or the Butcher, or indeed my own crew. It doesn't matter. Without you and the rest, Cell 53 at my side, the campaign is doomed.
Do you, is this a matter of prescience, man? You seen what is to come, and we are part of it.
He,
It's not always written in stone, you know.
There are many futures, a myriad of paths that we can take, and some of them are bunched together. There are furrows throughout
Does that come through?
space-time. I'll look at it in a sec, buddy. There are furrows throughout space-time. Some paths are more likely than others. As you say, it's not set in stone. I do know this. I'm certain of it, and you are right. It is prescience of which I speak. Sometimes the decisions I take seem very hard to understand, but it is because trying to guide us towards a specific future that I make my choices.
There are many parts of the primordial annihilator, man, and one of them is certainly to play with fate. Can we be sure that this isn't part of his game?
And again, there is a smile, but this time it doesn't seem quite a smile of amusement. It's more of a wry smile. And he says to you, you may well be right, Jan, but I must take the ship down the path that I believe is right. Now, you have some knowledge of the primordial annihilator, but the rest of your cell do not. I intend to send Jagannatha to speak to you all, and to give some training, some understanding to the other members of your team, because it might be crucial in the days to come. Much of this you will already know, but the others have a certain ignorance there. That is a defense, but it must be done. And again, he seems captivated by the paintings. His attention is no longer on you.
I don't know if I can see it.
Save.
They are hell-bent on indulging their dark natures. In fact, this could be part of my downfall to try and say that hubris is another path to the dark side.
He says to you, you must do as you think best. You must make your own decision. And they will do the same.
It's gonna... It's a good spot. What's my little crafty thing? Soothsay, that's it. I think I just need a little soothsay.
Okay, well, the soothsaying is kind of like a ritual. It's not a quick thing. I mean, you're probably better off doing that in your own room, in like preparing the ritual and in finding a quiet place.
Paintings of...
Oh, you want to do it in front of the paintings?
Mm.
All right, okay. So are you just going to go ahead and do it, or are you going to ask the Inquisitor's permission, or what? What are you doing? What's your plan?
Yeah, right. So I'm going to ask Lucius. I'm going to say, Lucius, this is your private sanctum, man. I don't want to overstep my mark, but there'd be times on this ship when I have soothsayed in the manner of my ancestors in order to scry the future myself. So one time with your permission, I would like to try soothsaying in the same room as these paintings, man.
He says, interesting. Do you not recall what you said to me moments ago about the changer of fate?
We're all gonna die, Lucius.
that gets a
we can
genuine
take our
laugh out
fate
of it.
into our own hands, then there's no time like the present.
He
Oh,
says, I tell you, you must make your own decisions. I want people to step up and lead. Let's see where this path leads. And he steps back and out of your way, and he goes and sits down in a comfy chair with his red wine, and he keeps quiet.
part of I need to discern for myself whether the changer of ways has influence on my ancestry, or if it's a connection to something else.
Okay, so you're going to do a soothsaying ritual. I want you to think about what the question is that you're going to ask, and I'd like you to ask it, and then I'd like you to make a test. And the test shall be at a plus 20.
Right. I'm gonna be named. Can I just click on the side button and go in one side? Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, cool. Let's use that. Oh. Yep. Then we're going to knock it up. Lovely.
Okay, so you're now testing at a plus 30 with a reroll.
Oh, shit, that was a 9 on the Kanakinu.
Okay, well, you know what that means.
I'd
like you.
reroll that now.
Okay, it's going to have to reroll your neck, okay? So there's a charge in the air. Kyoshi, you see him sat down and chanting. You feel the psychic energy flowing through the room. What are you doing, Kyoshi?
Grunting. Slowly and very carefully drawing Kazushini. As silently as I can.
Okay, I would like you, Kyoshi, to make a silent move test at a plus 30.
I would love to, but I can't see my character sheet.
Oh, okay, that's my fault. Let me bring you back. I moved you into a different section. I'll put you. You're not available. Let me just change that.
Mm-hmm.
So in player's journal, Quintius. Okay, I'll put you back into. Oh no.
Right, I'm gonna roll my thing before the cat. Just noticed my cat's been sat with me.
Oops.
Mix. Don't do that yet.
Oops.
Mix.
Okay, so I've brought you back into your journal. Kyoshi's now he's not in cell 53 or in cell 54. He's in another little group where characters go at some point.
All I can see is his picture. I can't see his character sheet.
Okay, no, I need to let you edit him, don't I? There we go. Try again. Okay, hopefully that'll do it.
Yeah, it's just loading up. Silent move, was that, Alan?
Please.
Just a second, still loading. Still loading. There we go. Alright, silent move. I have failed.
Yarn, as you're in your trance and you're concentrating on your question, you hear the sound of a blade being unsheathed. What is your question, Yarn?
Well, as I'm going down into trance, I'm gonna mumble.
How many ingredients are there in Umbongo?
No, but they do drink it in the Congo.
Is that what you're asking then? What the gender of women?
Yeah, really meta. Obviously on the wavelength of something.
Excuse me then. Sorry to bother you, but you know the English accent.
Go into trance. Oh, no.
Way down deep in the middle of the Congo.
What is your question? Yeah.
What is the purpose of these paintings?
Okay. You ask your question to the spirits of your people, to your ancestors. What is the purpose of these paintings? Kiyoshi, you watch the ritual go on in front of you, and you feel the crackle of psychic force growing and growing within the room. And you see little sparks of, it's not electricity, it's like a psychic form of electricity, jolting and arcing around, first Yarn, and then the paintings. And then you see Yarn collapse. Arnold.
Yes.
Move on to you.
Well,
Arnold, you
trotting through the day.
successfully
I
acquired
chop Yarn's head off.
We'll come to that. You successfully have acquired a trolley, and on it, Arnold, are various foodstuffs. The King Cook has put together quite the trolley for you, and there are still quite a few leftovers from the feast that he has rustled together, along with salt fish and some bread that is mostly fresh. There's also water and recaf on your trolley, Arnold.
Alright. Before I start off, I'm going to pour myself a quick recap to head down the aisles with, just to get a bit of fortune. And
Okay.
this favour I'm going to do for everybody.
Okay, you pour the recaf. And Cook, I mean, this trolley is more than you expected. The King Cook warned you that food supplies were too low to properly feed the entire crew. And he
Yeah.
speaks, and he goes, yes. He says, yes. Oh, sorry, just hang on a sec. Johnny, you sent me a message, didn't you? Just let me, before we carry on, I want to...
I did, yeah.
Johnny, sorry, Johnny, that's my bad.
That's all right.
I want to have a look. Okay.
It's just something that occurred to me.
I will neither confirm nor deny your...
Before I pour this recap, I thought I was in the hallway away from King Cook.
That's fine, Okay, so that's fine. Hayden, before you leave, he reminds you, he says, do remember, of course, to speak to Nixios and to Quintius on my behalf. Remember, we need food for the ship. Need it desperately. And he also says,
Thank you.
and also remember, I'm a fully qualified chef. Fully qualified.
Oh, you are the best. You're the best in my opinion. I'll be sure to tell my teammates, especially Nixus and Quintius, how good you have been with service to us. We'll hopefully get more foodstuffs supplied to you next visit. Old fish, yeah? Yeah, we'll get more of that. Or anything near. Thank you very much for your time. I'll go now, spread morale around the ship. Stupid little bastards, I'll make them happy.
He says, "Wish you the best of luck." He says, "Good. I wish you well. Good fortune."
Thank you.
And he pats you on the shoulder. Okay, I'd like you to make a fellowship test, please. Let me just check whether you have any.
Oh, is he trying to get friendly with me?
Yeah, what this is if you succeed, you will improve in what's the word I'm looking for? Someone help me out. It's like
Reputation?
yeah, that's it. You've got reputation with different factions and different people. So this is one
Get
of
a
those
plus or
where
anything to
you
this?
Well, I'm just going to check because there's there'll be a document somewhere if I can find it, of course. What would I have called it? It's not reputation. This is the problem. My Word documents are
Social standing.
could be that. Anyway, just make a straight test for now, and if it's it may be because it may be you've already got standing with him. You see, I'd probably not, but maybe not. Okay, so it's very likely you've not improved your standing with him. But this is sort of thing which will. It's like I'm trying to emulate Dave's game in that regard, where you can, get closer and closer with characters on the ship and factions, and improve your standing with various people and groups. So
Cook. Back. I'll be back.
maybe there's something in your eyes because he steps back when you say that, and he looks perhaps a little worried. So Arnold, you go and you start to trawl. You start to trawl the ship, and you are a bit of an unusual sight here. You're a huge, bruising guardsman. Feral, and you're carrying on your back a double-handed axe made of black iron. Your possession.
I have a pity off this task.
You can get a penny before you go.
Thank you. It's something I must have.
You're in the kitchen now.
This is Arnold Stormsinger, Meals on Wheels. You see your first punter, Arnold, and his uniform marks him as a gunnery loader. And he sees you, and he's not quite sure what to make of you. Aren't you a funny sight?
Yes, I suppose you're right. I'm almost slightly insulted. I thought this pity was a good look on me. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yes, suits you. Of course it does. And he looks a little shifty when he says this.
Good. Did you want a treat from the ship to you? Good work, man.
The aroma fills the corridor, and he does seem to be drawn towards it, like a moth towards a flame. And goes, "Yeah, I'm fucking starving. What you got there, mate?"
Yeah. I say I can only give a bit out at a time. I've got a lot of people to see, but I'll give them a good chunk, like a nice chunk of, I don't know. I'll show them the contents, say, what do you want, but can I have a bit? I've got to make it go round.
He eyes up. Immediately, his eyes are drawn to the roast boar. And he kind of nods and points at the roast boar. And he looks like, he licks his lips. I'll
cut a bit off the roast boar.
Okay.
Here you go, my friend. No charge. Stay happy.
His face looks something close to ecstasy as he chomps upon the roast boar, and it's quiet. It's that quiet for a moment as he eats, and then he goes, "So what do you know, Arnold? Heard any good gossip?"
Oh, nothing like good gossip. There's only kicked the fuck out the planet the other day, didn't we?
Oh yeah, so I heard victory. It was victory.
Yeah. So that's some good gossip. That's on the good side. But I tell you what, bad news.
Why?
The sparring sets are out of servitors. It'll be weeks before they can rebuild any of those. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Why? What happened? I mean, I don't do much trading myself, but why? What happened?
They're all broken. Just all broken, my friend.
How did that happen?
Someone got a bit carried away in training.
Alright, okay. Want to name any names? And he winks at you.
Oh, no one came back.
And he thinks maybe he picks up what's going on here. And he says, have you heard about the judge?
Who's the judge then? I mean, who's the judge?
Well, they say that this psyker, black of skin and black of soul, gate-crashed the chambers of one of the Inquisitorial Guard and judged him guilty of heresy. And I hear he crashed him into pieces with his mind and then ate his heart.
Judge.
Holy shit. I know a man like that.
Yeah, what, you know the judge?
Probably. It sounds familiar. We'll go into details though. It's not all that bad.
Alright.
Oh,
You know what I think?
oh.
I think this judge, he's been sent by Spinebreaker. You know who he is?
Ah, yeah. I've met Spinebreaker.
Met him? What?
Hmm.
Are you working for Spinebreaker?
Oh, no. He kidnapped us off planet and gave us a job opportunity, but we waited till we were off site and said no. Never know.
Alright, okay. You're loyal then to Lucius?
Oh, of course. Without a doubt.
Yeah, of course.
Lucius is our man. He'll take us somewhere.
Lucius is our man. And he eats a bit more of the roast boar.
Oh, what do you know about Spinebreaker, my friend?
I just heard he's another Inquisitor.
Dour.
Sorry? What was that?
It's quite dour when I met him. Doesn't look like a man who would privy to a joke.
I didn't know anyone had ever met him but they say that he's pursued us all the way out here to the Expanse. And I heard that there's heretics on board and that Spinebreaker's come to purify the whole ship. What do you make of that?
Oh, it's the opposite way round. Spinebreaker's the man with all the heretics on board.
Alright.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
this guy, then he scratches his head. And he chews on his boar and he seems to think about this.
Why wouldn't he be? He's after some god emperor serving women like ourselves. I know what happens on planet side. I've also been on Spinebreaker's ships. You don't? Oh. Anyway, I've said enough. Answer. Really a raving heretic.
But that is some good guns. Could I have just another bit?
But we are lucky. We're lucky to be under the watchful eye of Quintius.
Yeah.
The thing, what happens with other ships are much. This is a walk in the park.
It's a good ship.
Oh,
Yeah,
need to
good
work
ship.
on this. It's a good ship. And the crew were good. People could use it to be a good. And anyway, I can't spare any more.
Oh,
I must dash.
oh, alright, no.
Good talking to you. And remember, this Spinebreaker is an evil man. Man which doesn't smile. Not a good man.
Says, that's interesting. I'll be sure to let people know. Now, Arnold, he takes his leave. Before he goes, he says, "Oh, sorry, I just wanted to tell you my name before I went. It's a perfectly good name. It's Joshua Slack." And he raises his hand to shake yours.
And I'll put my hand on my head. Like that. Nod at him, Sergeant like.
Okay. Alright. So
My man with a slack jaw might have slack hands too. I don't want to touch this clammy bastard.
well, he salutes you back, and he goes about his business. So Arnold,
Right.
you continue to trawl the ship, and you're gifting food to stormtroopers, to engineers, to serfs. Your poor people skills and imposing visage do not put most people off the prospect of a bit of food, and you can see that the crew are undernourished. And you pick up rumours along the way. People seem happy to talk as they eat. This approach is this Meals on Wheels. It's a good way for keeping an eye on the ship's gossip.
Also, it's plenty road.
Or two. Oh, that's certainly the case. So, nearly all the talk, all the gossip, Arnold, is of the judge. Some say that it is the judge who is the heretic, that he consorts with demons and dresses in the bones of other men. Some swear that they knew something was amiss with Eric Icebreaker, that he spoke dark words when deep in his cups, and others swear that he was a good man.
Some think that the judge is working for Spinebreaker, and that he comes now to purge all the other heretics who must be present on the ship. No, he is in league with the Inquisitor and enjoys his favour. No, the judge will be thrown from the airlock at the soonest opportunity. Some say that the judge brought down earthquakes upon the victorious and slew the armies of the family single-handedly. Some say that it was he who was responsible for retrieving Lucius's painted. There are as many rumours as there are mouths to speak them. They grow in the retelling, each more ludicrous than the last. And you even pick up the odd other rumour. You hear a rumour. There is real cheese on board. Not bee cheese, but real actual cheese on board.
Gotta start asking about this room a bit more.
I mean,
I heard it from.
and someone
How
says to you,
to get
says,
to where it's going.
I just heard it from someone who heard it from someone, and they think it came from one of these swamp dwellers. You know, they brought the swamp dwellers on board. They brought a load of them on from the planet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they brought them
How
all
the
up.
faring?
The what? The fairy? That's a different campaign
How
entirely.
the faring? How they doing?
Well, I mean,
The fitting in.
no one fucking trusts them, do they? I mean, they're fucking savages, aren't they? Savages. Nothing good'll come of bringing them on board.
And what
Be a
don't you
fucking
like about
mutiny, I tell
savage?
you.
What don't you like about a savage man?
No,
Say,
I
what
didn't mean.
don't you like about a savage man?
The man backs off and he sees something in your eyes, Arnold. He backs off and he's no, I didn't mean nothing by it. I didn't mean nothing by it. And he kind of half departs, half flees.
Hold
From you.
yourself a second, mister.
What?
Not depart. Here.
Maybe it's you and your pinny.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say, come here.
He comes back. He says, "Look, I didn't mean nothing of it."
Tear off a little bit of meat, pass a bit, and say, I wasn't trying to be funny either. Have a good day. Have a little bit more.
And he says, "Yeah, it's just they're just not imperial, are they? They're just not imperial.
I know what
They're
you're saying.
locals. You know what I'm saying?" And he takes his leave. As soon as you give him permission, he takes his leave and gets the fuck out of Dodge with the extra bit of meat. So Arnold, you're not great at this. You're not well suited to boosting morale. You don't have that charisma, do you? And there's something about you with this axe in this pinny that is quite unsettling. Now, Arnold, this is going to be your first section of power play. You've got a kind of 4-hour section of time that you are boosting morale, Meals on Wheels style. So what I want you to do is to make a fellowship test with a +10. And this is so. What will happen here? It's very similar. Well, we'll come to power play in a minute, but you can't fail to do anything useful here. But if you get degrees of success, it will be a greater success. So you know, even if you fail hopelessly, which I think you will. So a fellowship test at a +10. Even if you fail, you will still do something positive. It's just that. Oh, okay. So you get 1 degree of success. So Arnold, despite your lack of suitability, you do think that you are improving morale. You do think that you are a net positive here. Quintius.
Hello.
Going to move on to you, please.
Okay.
Quintius, you stand outside Laura's room with Jeeves, who is still covered with
cheese.
with what? With cheese? No, with Jeeves, your manservant, who is still covered in perspiration after his near-death experience. You have half a mind to go back in there and speak with Laura again. There's something about her. She's hard to get off of your mind. And for a moment, consider you haven't thought of Brittany in a time.
Yeah.
Laura seems to have supplanted her. She's not only beautiful, but intelligent and cultured, and she's bloody good at her job. There is much to admire about her.
Sir, if I may...
Jeeves reaches into his satchel. He pulls out a small roller. And he proceeds to roll it over your jacket.
Oh, Jeeves, you and I are going to get on like a house on fire.
Very good, sir.
So tell me, how long have you been a valet?
Well, my lord, I've been training to be a valet my whole life. You see, I was born in Lost Hope, and they have a very apt training school in the old style. I was born to parents who were a slave, and I've been a slave my entire life. So, really, I've been working towards this all of my life. I'm only 18.
Ah, a young lad. Wonderful. So,
And he at this, as he says, he twitches. His whole face goes about 90 degrees to the right. And it's quite off-putting.
well, is there something over... very well. So, you would call yourself perhaps a hereditary slave?
Yes, my lord.
Well, first of all, let's get one thing straight. I am not a lord. You may call me Sir, which seems quite fitting, or Mr. Quintius, if you prefer. Let's not be too formal. I'm not a big fan of that. Now, the next thing. You are no longer a slave. I want you to be very, very understanding of this. Let me be clear. I am to pay you a wage. Do you understand the concept of a wage, Jeeves?
Yes, of course, sir.
Well, it's
And
just I don't know what your education is.
His hand involuntarily seems to go to his collar for a second. And maybe he doesn't even realise that he's doing it.
Okay. I'm going to... I assume I've got hold of the data slate with the
Sure.
with the control. I'm going to...
Well, I mean, it's in your inventory now. I don't know where you've got it. It's up to you.
I'm going to put that purposefully behind my back as I speak to him out of his sight, and say, now, this is my plan for you, Jeeves. I will pay you a fair wage for fair work, and during your time in service to myself, you will not only perform mundane tasks that I clearly don't have enough time to deal with because I'm a very busy and important man, as I'm sure you understand. You will also be performing a service for 3 companions of mine, who I will introduce you to later, and you will earn your keep, so to speak, in that regard. When we next reach a planet, the wages you have earned, I will give you in a lump sum. Between now and then, you won't need that money. And at that point in time, when we reach this new world, you will have a choice to make, Jeeves. You can stay in service to me and my companions, or you can take the money that you will have earned and create a new life for yourself, wherever we end up. You understand the terms of this arrangement?
Yes, sir. Very good, sir. That's most generous and more than I was expecting. Lady Skysinger did inform me that I had a room set aside for me in the aft of a ship and rations. With your permission, sir, well, if you wish, I shall go straight to your room and begin work immediately.
Excellent.
Unless of course you prefer me to stay at your side as you go and meet this Lissa, was it, sir?
Oh, yes. I really should perhaps go check in with her. No, you know where my quarters are, do you?
Yes, and he catches himself. Yes, sir. Lady Skysinger did furnish me with your address.
Right. Well, when you get there, just in case you bump into one of my companions, you can't miss them. One of them is a massive chap who probably has an axe. Another one is a guy with very strange hair, speaks with very strange accent, might call you Mon a lot. Don't worry about that. And the third one is a young lady with a lot of metal parts. Not all of us metal, though. Sorry, too much information. If any of those three should confront you or accost you, just have them contact me, and I'll straighten out any issues. And I might even forewarn them that you might be coming. No, you go and do whatever it is you need to do. I best go see Melissa.
Very good, sir. And, sir, if I may be so bold, good
Please
luck.
do. Oh, thank you, Jeeves. Thank you.
And he bows, and you see that he has there's something of imperial sort of training. You know, you do recognise, obviously, your experience with having servants, you know, throughout your life, and you can recognise the training in how he holds himself and how he talks to you. That he has been trained. It's just a bloody twitch where every now and then his head goes about 90 degrees to the right, and that is, you know. Apart from that, though, he's been quite agreeable.
Every single time that he does that twitch where he looks to the right, I'm going to look with him to see what he's looking at.
Okay.
Every single time. And really dramatically, like,
There's
I like
some,
the idea.
is there,
I think I told you, but I've also put his character sheet in. There's a section
found
for. Cool, great. So you're in the same sort of region of the ship as where Melissa is. You've been told her room number by Laura. Did you say you wanted to go and?
Yeah.
speak to her?
yeah.
Okay, so she's very close to Laura. She's only a few doors down. Are you going to knock on the door? Or?
Absolutely. And then before I do, I'm going to do my usual routine of adjusting my cravat and giving it the throat clearing exercises. And
you do notice that your jacket looks a bit smarter than it did before.
fabulous.
Okay.
Lint free and ready to roll.
So you knock on the door and you hear from inside, enter.
And I enter.
That's good because I just put you onto the map. You walk in and you take in the furnishings of a luxurious room.
Ew.
The fittings and the decor would not seem out of place in a lower rank noble, like a middle upper class noble, or rather a upper middle class rather, not a middle upper. You know, so not really a proper noble as you would consider, but you know, maybe an aspiring classes may have a sort of room like this, and it's very similar in many ways to Laura's room, and it's far beyond what you expect Melissa will be used to on the primitive world of Orpheus 4. And you see Melissa stood up by the chaise lounge, and someone has found some clothes for her. A pretty dress which looks out of place upon her. It's a dress of an imperial style. But you are used to seeing her in more primitive, if not more racy and revealing, dress down at the docks of Port Chula. And down dressed in Chula Fair, she looked natural and in her element. But her dressing in imperial attire is somehow jarring. She looks nervous and she bites her lip and she seems unsure of what to do with her hands. And her looks are somewhat imperfect. She has a rough beauty, a slightly pug nose. Her teeth are slightly crooked, but her smile is captivating. Her hair is red-brown, and down on the planet, she seemed exotic. But up here on the Malevolence, she seems a little out of place. And next to the beauty, Laura, she seems almost crude. I mean, Melissa is a beauty, but Laura looks like a goddess. Patrick, sorry, give me a sec. Look at these fancy little napkins. She doesn't say that. Patrick, I was hoping that you came. You'd vanished. No one seemed to know where you had went. Then the orcs came and things went to hell, and they say that the capital was completely destroyed. And I don't understand why the king didn't protect us like he said he would, but everyone says that the king brings security and stability only when we needed him. He wasn't there.
Well, yes, this is often the case with kings and lords and things like that. They often say they'll do one thing, but in the end they usually act entirely in their own self-interest. Anyway, sorry, how are you, Melissa? You must be a little discombobulated.
And she rushes up to you, Patrick, and she tries to give you a hug. Do you accept?
Yes.
She
A
does. She
little
runs up to you and
stiffly,
she gives you-
maybe, but I do.
Okay. Yeah, she gives you a hug, and and it's a warm and genuine hug, and she holds you tight, and she goes, "Oh, Patrick, I'm very grateful for what you did, and yeah, I mean, this place. I mean, have you seen it? It's like being a princess. All these clothes, so fancy, and someone comes and takes my laundry, and food comes regular, and it's so nice."
It's certainly a fancy room you've been given. Yes, much more so than I was expecting.
But Patrick, if I'm honest, it's cold. It's cold here on board the ship, and I never thought I'd say it, but I miss the plenty. The plenty, it's been part of my whole life, and I've always been able to look up and see it, and now on this ship, it's not there anymore. And yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be rude, Patrick. I'm very grateful, but I'm fed and I'm clothed, but now I got a new problem. It's one I never had before. Get bored. Bored, Patrick. I never had no time to get bored when I was concentrating on staying alive and finding enough food to eat, but I got nothing to do.
Oh, maybe we can find you something to do.
Oh, please, Patrick. I don't have any friends, and I don't have anything to do anymore.
I mean, we can soon find you some friends, I imagine. Tell me, what other skills do you have besides the obvious? Can you read, Melissa?
Oh no, I never. It's only rich folk got to read down on the planet, or those who were fortunate to have parents who could read. But I never. No, I never had no. Well, of course I had parents, but I never knew them. And no, I never had the chance to read. But I don't know. I mean, never considered what life I could have other than the life that I had on the docks.
Well, let's see that. I mean, this ship's a big place. There's a lot of people here and a lot of things you could be doing. I'm sure we could find you some friends as well. Would you be interested in learning to read? Wait, I've had an idea. How would you feel about learning to help people?
Oh, how do you mean, Patrick?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's people on this ship that need things doing, and need help with certain things. For example, there is an infirmary. There's a doctor there who was rushed off his feet the last time I went there. He was very busy. He didn't seem to have much in the way of help. Perhaps you could learn to help the doctor in some ways.
And she smiles at you, and her smile is, as I say, captivating. And she says, "Oh yeah, I mean, that does sound like sounds like noble work, helping other people like that."
Exactly.
Would you put in a word for me?
I can do better than that. I could introduce you to him.
And again, she smiles.
He does sort of owe me a favor. I found his cat monkey.
Okay. And she doesn't know quite what to make of that, but
Don't worry about that. Strange little beast. You'll probably meet her later.
okay. So, and speaking of cat monkeys, okay. So, is that something you're wanting to do now? Is it, or later? What would you?
Maybe later. Maybe later. But I must say, Melissa, this dress you have is it's rather fancy. Quite. Look at them fancy napkins. Look, it's rather a fancy dress you're wearing. Do you have any more everyday clothes? Because walking around the ship like that will get you attention, and if we do get you some work in the infirmary, you don't want to be wearing such a nice gown, now do you?
And she goes, "Oh yeah, I got lots of clothes. That Laura lady, she's ever so pretty, and she got me all sorts of clothes, all types. I got more clothes there than I've ever had." And she goes over to a wardrobe and she opens it and she shows you, and she's ram jammed with attire here, and she probably didn't have very much down on the planet, or certainly not what you saw. You saw her more than once wearing the same clothes. She goes, "Yeah, I think it looks nice on me. I've never had something. Have you seen the quality of this fabric? It's like some sci-fi shit, I tell you."
It is quite wonderful. It's strange, really, that you've not been on the ship very long, and Miss Skysinger has arranged all these wonderful clothes for you, and here I am with literally 2 sets of clothing, one of which I stole off a dead man. I should perhaps try and rectify that myself. But
she laughs at that, but it's kind of a bit of an awkward kind of laugh that just escapes her mouth. Like it's almost like a laugh she shouldn't have.
And I tell you what, Melissa, as for missing the plenty, I mean, I can't say I understand, but I can empathize. I have been in positions in my life where there have been things that have been there so long that they become just something in the background, and you come to depend on it without really thinking about it too much, and then one day it's gone, taken from you, and it can be life-changing and heart-wrenching. But the plenty hasn't gone, Melissa. It's still out there. Perhaps... I tell you what, leave that one with me, Melissa. Am I aware that there are windows on this ship, aren't there? We've seen them before.
Yes, that's correct. In fact, you looked at one in your first role play. You opened one of the windows and you saw a body floating around outside.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, is there like an observation deck or anything? I can't remember. It's a long time since I've seen that.
There's an orrery. I don't think Quintius has ever been there, but
No.
there's a place where you can look at the system. I think Courtney's been there a few times. I think that's where she met Jagannatha for the first time we ever met Jagannatha. And it's a way where you can kind of zoom in on planets and use the ship's augers, and there's a holographic representation of what the ship's augers can see.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be aware of that yet.
No, but kind of list of ships' locations are readily available, on the console, so it's not hidden from you.
Okay. Right.
And she speaks up. She says, Patrick, I have to ask. I never thought I'd see you again. I thought you fled the Combine, and the family, they started making moves for the port, and it got real dangerous, and the docks became unsafe, and the family basically took it over for a while, and it got real bad. And then the enforcers came down, they shut down the docks, they set up sandbags and machine gun emplacements and checkpoints, and that was that. I couldn't earn my keep, and then that man found me. Oh, I was worried and crying. I didn't know what to do, but he came. That Jagger man.
Jangle Spangles, yes, he's a strange sort.
Another move by Jagannatha.
The big black man with the funny green glasses. He told me that a friend had sent me to take me away to someplace safe, and I said, I ain't born yesterday. You try and take me anywhere, and I'll scream and I'll fight you. And then he used this name for you I didn't recognize, but then he showed me your picture on a fancy data slate. And so I went with this Jagger man, and even though he scares me something, and he took me outside the port and away to this spaceship, and I had never been on no spaceship before, and guess what? The ship was full of bayou folk, mostly carbs as far as I could see. And then it took off and it come here, and then he took me up here and he gave me that pretty lady, Miss Laura, and she's all smiling and nice, and she helped me settle in. And Patrick, why Why did you bring me here? Why did you save me?
Well,
What have I done to deserve you, Patrick?
well, it's something of a long story, Melissa, but the whole reason that I am here on this ship, it's, as I said, it's a long story, but it's a bit of a mess, and it began with a party. It was a secret club, and I was no stranger to such places. But this one was different. These people in this club, they were not good people. And I found myself drawn into their strange society, their ways, and as time went on, their ways became more and more unpleasant. And then one night there was this young woman, is a little more than a girl, really, and well, that night didn't really end well, Melissa. And well, I don't want to see people that don't deserve such ends to end up in sticky situations anymore, Melissa. And you reminded me of someone when we first met, and you were kind, and not many people are kind, and you could have robbed me and you didn't. And then when I saw you that day on the docks, it reminded me of the night that I left her there in the... Look, it's... perhaps I should go, Melissa.
When you say that, she draws in very close to you and she puts her arms around you and she says, "No, Patrick, I want you to stay. It's cold here." And she starts to lead you towards her bed. So this is not where I'm going to play the fucking. If I was Dave, this is where I'd put the music on, but.
This is the beginning of Quintius's power play. This is all he's going to do.
Are you accepting? Do you resist?
I
It's so
behave
cold,
a little
so
more
cold.
timid than Quintius normally would in such situations, but he does not resist.
Okay. She draws you to her bed, and we'll fade to black.
Okay.
Alexa, we're going to go to you next, but I'm going to go for a slash.
I am also going to go for a slash.
I'm going to go make a coffee quickly. Actually, no, I've got it.
Oh, you got one in it. I'll have to take some photos.
That's why I'm getting some fat. Pop.
Yeah, it's not great for you.
Oh, it's not.
I've had this Coke nearly 6 or 7 weeks now. It's out occasionally for drinks.
Yeah, it's. I was glad this because it was quick. So
Mind you, I have a problem with this.
Well, that's
I would be a lot larger than I would be if I didn't have a highly physical job.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same. It's not quite as highly physical as yours, but I mean, it's still it's a bit of exercise. Keeps me strong.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? Keep you moving.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Well, the last couple of I managed to break the derailleur on my bike. So I've been getting a lift into work, but I've been walking back. So the last 3 days I've walked back from Scunthorpe, just via Bagmore Lane down the back of the thing, and just to challenge myself. Really, it takes me about an hour. About an hour and 10.
You needed an electric bike, Johnny.
Yeah, no, I need to get a car. That's what I need to do. I need to sort that
I know,
out.
but I mean, you've got this far without a car, without the insurance, the road tax, and everything else to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get an electric bike. It'll revolutionise the transport thing because you won't have to Hills hard up hills.
Yeah, but I wouldn't get the I wouldn't have that life-defining suffering. You know what I mean, of walking in like the rain and
You can do a bit of both though, can't you? You can have a bit of suffering on the electric bike. You don't, but you get to turn on the easy mode from time to time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just when you feel almost defeated, easy
No, I
mode.
think if I start turning on the easy mode, it's a slippery slope into sloth. Sloth in the
I'll
start.
put easy mode on after you've worked all day. Yeah, fuck it. This is motorbike.
I might just give myself pain.
I just see it as an off-road motorbike would go slow.
Well, yeah. I would be tempted to buy a motorbike, to be fair, but,
Yeah, but it's a legal one where you can take around farmers' fields and can't even tell you off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, good call. But yeah, it's been okay. It's been good. So, tomorrow I might give myself a break, or I might walk. Actually, no, I'm off into town. Which is good, because I get paid, finally. Fucking hate monthly pay. It's the biggest crime of the fucking century.
With like a king for 2 weeks, and then it's 2 weeks.
No, it's not even that, mate. It's like a king for a day. Then all my direct debits go out, and I'm like, and everything else is put aside for stuff, and it's just like, right, okay, I've got a little bit of money to play with, and that's it.
I'll have to start out a bit of weekend work on you both on rotating voluntary shifts.
I certainly won't mind a bit of extra work, buddy.
Yeah, that's why I'm taking this paying commission as well, because I was like, well, he said he'd pay me, and I was like, well, yeah, sure. Like, it's not going to be mega bucks, but it's like just extra money that I can just put towards stuff.
All adds up, mate.
Anyway, shall we crack on?
Yeah, let's go.
You ready to carry on? Alexa, you are sat in a small room, tucked away in the overdecks, and it's quiet here. Normally, you can always hear the roar of the plasma engines. Pretty much anywhere you're on a ship, the engines can be felt. But here, it's almost peaceful. You can barely hear anything. No gurgling for any pipes, no steam, no people talking. No chatter of any kind, no background noise, and even the engines seem muted somewhat. And here, sat on this comfortable chair, melded with the ship, you can look through the eyes of any servo skull, you can control any of the ship's systems, with the exception of the planet killers, the cyclonic torpedoes.
Yeah.
Exterminatus. You cannot wield Exterminatus yet.
Arbitrary exterminatus. I don't like the look of that space station. We will not stop here.
So Alexa, I want you, if you would be so kind, to have a look in Roll20 at the handout section. Now in the handout section, there's lots of stuff in here. I'm always updating it. But one thing that's very relevant to you is in the crafting tab, and it's called Alexa Works. In this handout, I've listed for you every job that you have completed, thought about, proposed, and I keep adding to this list. So last roleplay I added, you considered doing mining operations. You scanned for nearby nodes on the system that you're in, and you started to catalogue potential equipment on board that could be put across to mining. So that's an example of what I have added to your projects. But if you read through this list, there's quite a bit on there, Johnny. So what you can do now, you have a few options. You do sense that the ship is going to warp. There has been some basically the ship's been in this system. It's mostly a dead system, and the pilot, who you recognise as a member of Cell 54, Nixius Roth, he's been piloting the ship, and he's basically been practicing manoeuvring.
Yeah.
He's not in an asteroid field anymore. He's in a relatively safe system.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's going through a course of training, and so he's at the helm of the ship, and he's about to take the ship into warp He's done some practice in this system, and he's about to take the ship into warp. And it occurs to you, Alexa, that you, or neither you, nor the ship has ever seen the navigator, who never seems to leave his room. So you have a couple of options here, Alexa. You can stay melded to the ship and you can manipulate the ship however you would want to, or you could go back to the technical workshop and craft. And you did arrange to... You asked Bodo to meet you there in the last session.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll disconnect from the ship and then head back to. But as I disconnect, I'll just say, goodbye, Mother. I have things to do. And then I'm just going to disconnect.
Before you disconnect, you hear the voice says, "I love you, daughter."
I love you too, Mother. But I'm not sure how to take that, but it sort of rings a bell somewhere in the mind.
Okay.
Your ship is going to grind you up into mincemeat.
Have you been reading my notes? So you disconnect from the ship, Johnny and Alexa. Sorry, and there is this reduction in yourself. A moment ago you was a warship. Even though the primary weapons have been damaged, even though her crew is down to the bare bones, and she's been peppered with asteroids and meteorites, and her hull is damaged. Despite all that, she is a warship, and she is a powerful warship. And you were her, she was you, and now you're Alexa. And there's this just reduction in yourself that you're not. It's difficult to describe the potency as you become a warship and how that feels. It's very and it's there's a reduction in yourself as you disconnect, and your pupils go back to normal. And you head back along the claustrophobic crawlway, down the steps, the ladder. The server skull follows you, and you head back towards where the secret door originally was. And you see above the door there is a red light, and you can now open this door with a spurt from your you can make a field, electromagnetic field. I can't remember what it is. You've got this implant that allows you to generate electromagnetic fields, so you can open the door. But there is this red light above the door at the minute.
I'm just going to access the ship at the nearest terminal and just see if I can see why this has got a red light above the door.
Okay, there is a console by the door, and you just make a tech use test at +20, please.
Okay.
Needy ship is needy.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can connect with the ship. Like, you can connect with the console, rather. You don't have to meld with the ship, but you can also connect for a +10 if you want to do that. That's just. Sorry?
Cell 53, aren't we?
You are cell 53.
Right then, take it.
No worries, mate. Take your time.
So I'm so limited for space at the minute. I need to really tie up.
Yeah, I'm going to make things difficult for you, Jan. I'm going to make you roll dice. I'm going to make you read handouts.
Oh, why?
Okay. When you port into the console, you can see why why the door has a red light, why it's shut. There's some people outside talking, and the ship routes through like a vision from a server skull that's outside. So you can see why the light is red. There's people outside, and this door is a secret door.
Okay.
It's just a couple of crewmen. They're just having a natter.
Can I somehow listen in? Is there any way I can listen in?
You don't know how you would do that. I mean, some of the server skulls can record, but the one that is outside and is giving you the view, it's not got an audio feed.
Okay, cool. Alright, do I need to get through this door to get where I'm going?
Basically, this door leads back to the ship. The only, you know, everything behind you is just this room. That's all there is behind you.
Okay. I'm gonna wait until the voices subside. Until the
So you wait, and crew members, they finish their conversation after about 5 minutes, and they go their separate ways, and the light turns from red to green.
Okay. So I'm gonna wait 30 seconds, and I'm gonna exit.
Okay, so you project a field to the receptor in the door, and the door opens, and you are back in the ship. But you know where this is, this place is now, so you could return here. And the door shuts after you leave, and nobody sees you.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm going to go and speak to the is it the Magus, the Tech Magus, or whatever he's called?
Technomancer Xerxes. You're going to go to the. So you're going to. He's normally can be found in the technical workshop.
Yeah. Actually, know what I'm going to do. So bear with me. I'm a bit tired.
Yeah. Take your time, mate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the workshop and do some more crafting. But I'll speak to Bodo because I'm going to assign him as my personal assistant.
Okay. So the Technomancer, you did. A Technomancer said that you would have your own team, and you requested Bodo, and he agreed with you. You head to the technical workshop, and you are back at home. The Technomancer isn't here.
Okay.
Bodo is, and you see him. And when he sees you, he smiles, and he runs up. He looks pleased to see you. And he says, Alexa, I'm so glad that you survived the orbital assault. I knew if I gave you that ring, it would keep you safe.
How did you know?
I just knew. That ring belonged to my mother. If you had it, I knew you would come back to me.
Would you like it back?
No. There's no need for that. Unless you don't want it.
No, I've become quite fond of it.
He smiles.
I will keep it. Now come with me. I'm just going to take him into the workshop.
Well, he's already in the workshop. He says, well, Alexa, don't you want to meet the rest of your team?
Ah, yes. Lead the way,
Now,
Bodo.
I want to draw your attention, Alexa, to another handout. This one can be found in the character section.
Yep.
So you've got cell 53, and then you've got NPC followers, cell 53.
Okay.
And in here, there is Jeeves, and there's your team, Alexa.
Cool.
So in here, you have a squad of various people to assist you in your project. You have Bodo Ott, who is a tech adept. Bodo is athletic and lean, so far unaugmented and unscarred. He smiles often and readily. Bodo is well-rounded, skilled, and can work well alone or as part of a team. He can lead others and use his own initiative. Ungrout Clover, who is also a tech adept. Ungrout is a short, heavy-set human from a world with higher than average gravity. His face and body is heavily burn-scarred. He talks little and is happiest working the forge. Ungrout needs orders to function effectively, and he's not the sharpest lathe in the workshop. Njal, Surf. He's a surf rather than a tech adept. So Njal is enthusiastic but lacks the focus to advance to tech adept. He chatters a lot and makes bad jokes. He is also somewhat clumsy. Njal hates the engineers with a surprising fashion, and he also chain smokes IO sticks. He has been fitted with a servitor control chip and seems to have an affinity for their use. Njal appreciates that they listen to him, and he has trained them to laugh at his jokes somehow. Then you also have 3 drones. These are servitors. So you have a drone 6457, which is a heavy-duty lifter servitor, made from a giant of a man and supplemented with augmetic arms and hands. You have drone 1567, which is a generic servitor with little exciting about it, and it draws frequently. And then you have drone 8588, a monotask servitor well suited to repetitive tasks, and she looks almost conscious.
Okay.
So you have a team.
Mm-hmm.
You have a list of crafting that you've begun, projects that you have begun, or you could start something completely different and begin again, begin a new project. You could make anything that you set your mind to.
Bad.
What are you... What are you doing, Alexa?
You're overwhelming me. Choices. I'm tired.
What?
But,
What are you doing, Alexa? So now we're going into power play now. I'm gonna spend a bit of time explaining that after this, but you kind of get the idea. You've got like a 4-hour session to spend on crafting, and you also have these other geezers who can assist you if you want, or they can either assist you, or you can give them separate projects.
What I want to do is I want to send Bodo and the servitor guy. I'm going to send him down to the infirmary and ask if there is any recently deceased bodies, corpses on the ice that we could use to make servitors out of.
Okay.
And then I want the servitors to go with them and bring those bodies back because they can lift them.
Okay. So in order to avoid accusations of metagaming, you get a damage status report come in, hot off the press. The training grounds have been wrecked, utterly wrecked, and all the training servitors have been destroyed. The training ground is ruined, and now you are aware of that.
Okay. And
so
now
you send off.
So
you send off Bodo, Niall, and the servitors to get some bodies.
Okay. In the meantime, that's them two occupied. The drones will go with them. Send all the drones with them. Check out that. I want him to stay here with me, and I want him to. I've got some copper pipes. Yeah, ungrout. I want ungrout in the forge, and I want him to convert all the drachma that he can into copper.
Okay. So I don't know if you've got everyone else's drachma, guys. I don't know if anyone's if you've done anything with your drachma. You've certainly got your own.
I'm going to send out I'm going to see if I can announce through the ship, or I'll clear it with the Inquisitor first of all. See if I can get any drachma recovered from the ship, just under the ruse, under the guise that it may be contaminated.
Okay, so
I'm keeping that bit quiet, but I'm going to see if I can get that gathered up so we can use the copper. We need it for the ship's repair. I'll say that.
Okay, so the command you square it open. You don't get through to the Inquisitor. You get through to his interrogator, but it's approved, and the comms goes across the ship, and the other players will hear it as well. But you can make a start. You can get Unger out to start on your drachma. You've got some, and you can make a start on that.
Yeah.
So you've commanded your team. What are you doing? You've got 4 hours.
I'm going to work on the machine gun.
Okay. So
and use it as like whilst she's working, she's sort of like it's like meditation for while she's doing this process. She's thinking about other things that she could potentially be doing on the ship.
So the machine gun. I'm just gonna put this into your journal. I should have done this earlier. I'll put it in everyone's journal. So in the crafting section there are items.
Yeah.
And this is where anyone who does any crafting, it will go in here. So there's the harpoon cannon, which is lost. There's the great chain axe, which you'd begun. There's the first moonshine batch, which is going to happen in the future, and that's coming from Cletus. And then there's also the machine gun, which is what you're working on now. Now you have started this already. You've done the design work. You've learned what's wrong with it. You've fashioned a new component, and you've made a choice, which was, rather than reforging all of the heavy components in a lightweight alloy, you've instead just decided to go for a quicker option, which is to strip off as much of it as you can. And so that's what you'll be working on, until you tell me otherwise. So, after 1 hour, Bodo, Niall, and the drones return, and they have 3 relatively fresh corpses that they've brought back from the corpse dump. And Ungrout, after that 1 hour, has made some good progress on your Drachma. So let's see how many Drachma you have. So let's have a look at your character sheet. Okay, so you have in your character 400 Drachma. So what I want you to do is to make a smithing roll for Ungrout. So if you roll a D100, and Ungrout's smithing is 50, and he gets plus 10 in the workshop.
Okay.
So you're looking at a 60 is what you're aiming for.
I'm just shocked at how well this laptop's working tonight.
Oh, good. It makes a big difference, I guess, if you have a functioning computer, right?
Huge difference.
Okay, Ungrout makes a bit of a crap job of it, all things considered. Maybe it's performance anxiety. He's working for his new boss. Is maybe a bit too pretty. Or maybe he just doesn't like working for women. Who knows? He doesn't say very much. Or maybe he's just not as good as Bodo's made him out to be. But he does an inefficient job on the smithing. Now, what you gain from his work is your Drachma has been turned into a block of copper. And this copper has a value of 60 thrones. And that is less than what you may have got otherwise. So I'd like you to remove the Drachma from your character sheet and add a copper block of 60, worth 60 thrones. So you've worked on your machine gun for an hour as well, and Bodo and Niall have come back with 3 corpses.
Okay.
What's your next move?
Bodo, how good his knowledge is with, basically making. Does he know anything about making servitors?
He says, well, I mean, it's quite advanced. I'd need to also get the medbay on board, and I might need to do a bit of research to try and learn a few things. But I mean, we should be able to get there, but it's not easy.
Okay.
Do you want me to start on that then?
I want him to start on that immediately.
Okay.
I'm going to send another comms up to probably be the interrogator. See if we could.
You just don't get through to the Inquisitor whenever you try him. It just never gets through to him.
So I'm just gonna just interrogate her and basically start it. But what I want to do is I want to speak to just to make up. Basically, if we can get more, basically start a server production facility.
Okay.
Fine.
So the interrogator, when you say that to him, he breathes in. He goes. He just makes that kind of noise, like a mechanic might make when when you take your car into him. He goes, "Hey, we'll see what we can do. But I don't know anything really about that." So what Bodo's going to do now is Bodo's going to start this project off, and he can lead this. And the first thing he's going to do is he's going to go off, and he's going to start talking to the doctor. So he goes off, and he takes Niall with him. And the bodies are left here in the technical workshop. But it is hot in here, Johnny. It's hot in the forge. So that's he can start this project off, and you can carry on working on the machine gun. Okay, so you're going to get your 4 hours in. On that.
I'm going to make sure. That he's working opposite as well, Bodo, because I want to watch him work.
Well, I say Bodo's going to head off from the workshop, and he's going to start off his project. He'll look after it, but first thing he needs to do is he needs to research it. He needs to speak to the doctor, because it's not just for the the mechanics and technical guys, it also needs the medics involved, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, so he's gone off and he's taken Niall with him, and you carry on with a machine gun. I'd like you to make a. Go on.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was going to get the Smith guy. There's any like broken equipment or anything like that. I want him to sort of start, melting that down into blocks and stuff.
Okay, yeah. So the metal that you're taking off, he then takes those bits off and just tries to process them again. Just waste not, want not. I'd like you to make an armor smith roll for yourself.
Okay.
I'd like you to make a smithing roll for Unground. You also get D3 rerolls on intelligence tests per game. Because you are a genius.
Do a smith roll, isn't it? Do we get a bonus for the forge?
Smith roll is plus 10, so he needs a 60 or less.
Oh, for goodness sake!
You're suspecting that they've given you a duffer here. They've given you a duffer. You watch him work, and you suspect he's not very good at smithing at all. You suspect foul play, Alexa. Maybe the Technomancer's given you him on purpose.
Maybe. I'm going to just check the ship's log to see if there's any instances of airlock malfunctions. In fact, I'm going to interface with the ship.
There's no record of any kind.
No, I'm going to interface with the ship, and through my mind, I'm going to say, can we play a game?
Ship, you can tell it's listening.
Okay. I have a little problem in my workshop. I'm going to send it to a certain location, and I would like you to help me play with this one. Okay? Can we create a problem on one of the airlocks?
Okay, and you can see immediately one of the airlocks starts flashing. Red.
My goodness!
Port side airlock.
How are you with airlock repairs? I'm gonna speak to. I'm just gonna send him round, and just look at him with that cold, impassive look.
He grunts at you.
Okay.
There's not really my film.
Well, there'll be something.
I'll give it a go.
Okay. Go to this location immediately, please.
Yes, boss.
Make an assessment of materials we may need.
Okay. Off he heads. So, can you make an armor smith roll, please, for your work on the machine?
Of course. You might need to send me a new guy. Sorry, straight.
I turn over in Alexa's team.
Yeah. Smith, is armor or Smith, is it?
Armor smith, you can just roll a D100. It's your armor smith skill. It's in your character sheet. Or you can just roll a D100. So your armor smith roll is currently 76, and you do get plus 10 as well from the workshop.
Yeah.
And you also have these D3 rerolls. But Alexa, think how good you could be if you weren't running at 85% efficiency. You successfully work upon the machine gun, and you are working towards this project. Alexa, that's where we're going to leave your section of power play. So now what I'd like to do, guys, if everyone's here, so I think we lost Hayden. So what I want to do, it's kind of done his power play anyway. I'm just going to turn this off for a sec. So I just want to discuss what power play is, and how it'll go forward. So this is, via the name, you can tell this is ripped off of something that Dave did in Darker Heresy. But this is kind of for the benefit of James, who obviously wasn't in Darker. Now, and also, I tried to call it something else, but I kept bringing it. I just ended up renaming it back to Power Play, because that's how it always ends up in my mind. I tried to rename it.
Copyright infringement, Alan!
I was going to call it Fast Forward Time, but it just didn't stick, so I'm going to it's what it is. It's going to be power play. So the objective of power play is to speed up time a bit. So we tend to take about 2 sessions, 4-hour game sessions, to get through 1 day of in-game time. And the objective, now what I could do is just say, oh well, 2 weeks pass, and we'll move on to the next part of the story. But I don't want to do that. I want to have a needlessly complex game. Where you can all meddle and do your own things and dick about, basically. So in these 2 weeks, you get to spend your days doing things, pursuing your own objectives. And it's most important for Alexa. Oh, by the way, Ungrout never returns, Alexa.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm just going to send in a requisition for another one.
So the purpose of power play is to speed up time, and so what the kind of objective is you decide what you're going to do for a day, and then you maybe roll some dice, and then we go around in a turn, and and then it's done, and you go on to the next day, and then you do the same thing again. And that's exactly how it works, isn't it, Dave? We just speed through the days, just like wildfire.
It ends up like, next thing you know, 6 months have passed in a session. It doesn't all end up just the same speed as the rest of the game, does it, Alan?
No, it doesn't do that.
No.
So this is the objective. The objective is to speed through time. Now, so where was he? So, and also, the other thing is, one thing during Power Play, Dave, people do want to role play a bit. So what I'm going to do is, at the end of every day, bring everyone back together, and if they want to role play, then they can. I'm also going to intersperse other things happening. So we'll be going in and out of Power Play. But the objective is to speed through this time as you approach the space station and pursue your own interests, whatever they may be. For Alexa, you've got lots of choices here.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do is on the characters handouts, I'm going to open up. There's going to be a section called Power Play, and I'm going to show everyone their options. So I've just introduced Arnold. So I've done you a handout for each of you. And I'm just going to open them up now. And so you can have a little read of these at your leisure. But what options you have, and these are not dissimilar to what Dave did in his game. Yeah, basically what Dave did it in darker, and I thought, I like this. I think it's neat. I'm going to steal it. So I've put them in the main screen here, on the main screen of Roll20. You can do personal improvement. So you could try and improve your stats, your skills, or your reputation with some of the various factions that are on board the ship. You could do crafting, which includes your trade skills, and it also includes rituals, which are mystical. It's a form of mystical crafting, let us say. You can oversee the ship's production, and this is mainly for Alexa, but it could be for other people. So the ship can produce. The ship has production facilities, it has the ability to manufacture and produce, and this is mainly down to the engineers, but also to the tech adepts. They kind of share this responsibility, but it's mainly the engineers. So if you have a trade skill, for example, armor smithing for Alexa, you could try and oversee the ship producing armaments, for example. So you can do your own crafting, Alexa, or you can try and get the ship to do crafting, and you will oversee that work. Then we have social. So social allows you to hunt for rumors, discover leads, or improve the ship's morale, which is what Hayden has done in his section. He's been improving ship morale. We have ship morale.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the morale on the ship is quite low. And that's another thing. I've got a handout which is in the handout section. It's called the Malevolence, and it's called Ship Stats. And on there you can see the stats of a ship, like the hull integrity, the number of crew, the ship's morale, the faith of the ship, and the corruption of the ship. And as the campaign progresses, the stats of the ship are changing. I've been changing these throughout the campaign based on what you do. So by improving the morale, you can bring that morale back up. And as the morale comes down, it starts to put debuffs onto everyone on board the ship. Yeah. So the next one is research, which is kind of researching. Well, you could research anything you want, really. You could, if you can read, that is. There's libraries on board the ship, and some of you have the ability to research in more mystical or esoteric means. So this is what these are the options that you'll have in power play. So have a read through your characters at your leisure, and and what I'll do is every day I'll ask you, what do you want to do today? You'll tell me what you want to do. We'll roll some dice, and we'll try and move through some days quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And to add a little bit more, to encourage you a little bit, the XP in the transition stage isn't going to be as high as when you actually get back on with it. So, if you spend forever just dicking about, then that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. If you're happy to do it and you're enjoying yourself, I'm happy. But, you're not going to be able to level up to level 9 while you're sat, chatting shit with the crew. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I want to now come back to Yarn and Kyoshi. Yarn, or Kyoshi, you see Yarn, he's cursing with this psychic electricity, and it sparks between him and the 5 paintings, and then there's a massive jolt, and it hits him straight in the forehead. His eyes are closed, Kazashini is unsheathed, and Yarn falls to the floor, unconscious. Yarn, you have been here before. Everything is white. There is nothing. You're in the loading screen in the Matrix. No. There's just white. There's white nothingness all around you. You've been here before on the surface of the planet when you were fighting Reptile. Are you still with us, James? Are you there? Or?
Yeah, listening.
Cool. So, you've been here before. There's nothing white. There is something here. There is someone here. There's a man. It's Lucius. And you see him and you look at him. And it looks identical to him, but his eyes are green. Cloudy green. Whereas Lucius's eyes are pale blue. And he speaks. His mouth moves, but you do not hear the words. Something is terribly wrong here. This is not how a soothsaying ritual goes. This is not how you receive your answers. This is unlike any soothsaying you've had before. You're not supposed to be here. And then it's just pure whiteness again. Kyoshi, Lucius speaks to you and he says, "Quick, get him to Medbay, quick!" And he comes in for the Inquisitorial Guard, but he says to you, Kyoshi, "Quick, to Medbay with him.
Stab him to the eye, yes, Inquisitor." All right,
Are you sure you want to do that, Kyoshi?
Yes. No, I'm going to resheath Kazashini and try and pick Yarn up.
Okay, you pick him up. How heavy is Yarn? He's a big man, right? How strong is Kyoshi?
Not massively.
But you are quite athletic, quite, quite a trained fighter. Let's have a look. So
Kyoshi has a strength of
120 kilograms.
120. So let's consult the rule book.
35.
It's a rare time we ever consult the book. Have you got the book handy, Dave? Or
It's all the way over yonder. Hang on.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I've got it. So we've got carrying, lifting, moving and lifting. So you have a combined strength and toughness of what?
6.
6. So your lift 72.
Oh dear.
So you can lift him, but it's hard, and you'll get fatigued quickly. And Lucius helps you. Lucius jumps in, and you never have seen Lucius do anything physical. He always has people do things for him, but now he jumps in and he picks up Yarn with you, and together you get him to the med bay as quickly as you can. And before long, there are members of the Inquisitorial Guard who have come at speed, and they take it from they help you, and Lucius steps back, and Lucius goes back to his personal chamber.
Okay.
You take him to Dr. Festus Bucket, and Dr. Festus Bucket sees to Yarn and treats him in the med bay. Kyoshi, what are you doing? You staying with him?
Yeah,
Or you going back to Lucy?
staying watching over Yarn with sword drawn.
Okay. And Dr. Festus Bucket, he keeps muttering to himself, "Oh, this is quite unusual, most irregular," as he runs his scans and takes bloods and runs his tests. Several hours pass. Yarn is deeply unconscious. But he comes to, slowly, patiently, under the care of Dr. Bucket. Yarn, you awaken, as if from a peaceful dream. And you're in the med bay, and you see a foul visage in front of you. Is Dr. Festus Bucket. Where's my bucket screen? Here we go. Dr. Festus Bucket.
Yay!
And here he is.
Awfully similar with my surgery.
You see Kyoshi stood there with his blade out, and you also see a nurse who looks quite worried. And you come to slowly, and you think you might have been given something, like some sort of sedative. It's quite a woolly, warm feeling. And you did have some wine before, but that can't explain it. And you remember what happened, but you can't explain it.
Is all well, Shepherd?
I don't know. Like what happened? I just saw a guy with green eyes, and that was it.
Yeah, you basically saw a vision of Lucius he was in a completely white domain. You saw a vision of Lucius, but he had green eyes. He tried to speak, but there was no sound came out of his voice. But no, you don't know what to make of it. You have no answers.
Ooh.
Only more questions.
You don't know, Kiyoshi. That was unlike anything I've ever experienced before, but I no enlightenment from this journey.
The Inquisitor seemed most concerned.
Yeah, I got no answers for you, man. There was nothing but white. It was black. There were no answers from my ancestors. I've had. It's hard to explain. Maybe I should discuss it with who's the other side of the ship.
Jagannath. And Jagannath has arranged to meet with you tomorrow, Yarn, in order to contain the Book of Lies. He said he would meet you tomorrow morning, and that is what you would do tomorrow. He would show you a circle of protection, the ritual, and together between the psychic, you would form a psychic ritual together. So you have you are due to meet him tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say or do in the med bay, or should I move things along?
Yeah, Jan's gonna go and get his tattoos completed.
Okay. So I'll explain how things are, where we are in the timeline. So it's day 1 after the orbital assault. You did some dicking about in the morning. You went and saw the Inquisitor in the early afternoon, and you had your debriefing. So each of you has around 4 hours to spend on power play today. Normally you get like 8 hours a day of productive time, but because you've already been doing things today, each of you's got 4 hours. So Arnold has spent those 4 hours trawling the ship, improving morale, and giving away food. Alexa has spent those 4 hours working on various crafting, assassinating one of her team, and and generally being Alexa. So Yarn, you have spent perhaps an hour, here in the med bay. So a portion of your time has been taken unconscious and recovering. So we'll say a couple of hours. You've got a couple of hours left. Quintius, you've spent, I don't know, a couple of hours with Melissa. So again, you'll have a couple of hours left, okay?
All right.
So to get caught up in time, you two have 2 hours, and to get some work done in your tattoos. You won't be able to get much done, but you can make a start on it. So we'll put 2 hours onto tattoos. What about you, Quintius? What do you want to do with those 2 hours? This pen is fucked, and it's really doing my Sweden. Go away, pen. I forsake you.
I must have about
Go.
pence that I've robbed from work. I've got a fucking drawer full of them.
I'm going to go and get another pen. I've got a few myself from work, if I'm honest. Give me a sec. Okay, so you're going on to 2, so you head off to the Feruvian Quarter in the starboard barracks, and you get a little bit of work done, but it's small work. Quintius, what did you want to do in your 2 hours? Have you had a look at the handout?
What I'm going to do is
you can't do too much. It's only 2 hours, right?
Yeah, well, it's a couple of simple things to start with. First of all, I was going to explain to both Melissa and Jeeves the existence of one another, and that I want Jeeves to make himself available to Melissa as he would myself. Also, over the comm, I'm going to explain the same to Alexa, Jan, and Arnold, so they all have the option to use Jeeves for menial labour if they need it.
Okay, you also hear the call go out from Alexa for your drachma. It may have been contaminated, she says, and she asked for it to be sent to the technical workshop, so it's up to you what you do with that information.
Yeah, I'll give, I've got 82 drachma, I'll give that to Alexa.
Okay, so you pop that in.
Yeah.
So, Alexa, would you add 82 drachma to your character sheet? Yes, Johnny. Manipulate your character sheet, Johnny. And read the handouts, Johnny. What about you, James? Have you got any drachma? Do you want to send them to Johnny?
Yeah, what's he doing with them?
Well, he's just asked for them. He says they're contaminated. But what he's going to do with them is melt them down into copper.
For use on the ship.
The drachma aren't worth anything because you're not on Orpheus 4 anymore. But they do have some value for the precious metals within them, or the semi-precious metals.
I'll contact over say, me leave them by your both, man.
Okay, so how many drachma do you have?
141.
Okay, so if you'd like to add 1/4, we'll assume that they get to you. 1/4 drachma as well onto your character sheet. So
141.
Okay, so that's a total of 223 drachma, 141 from James, and 82 from Dave.
Thank you.
Okay. So, that doesn't take you very long, Dave.
No, and then what I want to do with the rest of my time is basically go along to the infirmary and try and persuade the doctor to get Melissa working, either maybe as like a cleaner, a general carer for the wounded or the sick, and when he has spare time to teach her how to become a medical assistant in some way. And I'm also going to offer, if he ever has any patients that are coherent, conscious, and feeling a little down, to call on Quintius for a little cheering up.
Okay, jolly good. So yeah, he when you arrive at the med bay, you arrive at the same time that Jan is leaving,
Hello, Jan.
pretty much, and he looks a little pale
What?
for Jan. For Jan, he looks a little, he's leaving, and he's something about the way he's walking, like
Oh,
something
one of those
happened to him.
examinations, is it, Jan? Yes, had a few of those. The swab is terrible.
You're not checking my prostate.
The old Jap's eye swab, it makes any man go pale, that and that, yes.
It does.
Hey, before I go, can I have a word with the doctor? Is
Yes, of course you can have a word with me. I can have a word with you both while you're both here.
Simultaneous!
Both enjoyable. We can have a little conversation together. Won't it be cozy?
Well, lovely.
what was
Are you
the
feeling well? Are you well, Jan?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Can you explain?
Can I explain? No. It was your readings were very low, very weak. I'm not quite sure what was amiss with you, but you had a terrible temperature. It's like your body was fighting something.
You had a little turn, Jan.
I tried to contact my ancestors, Quintius.
Oh, that's enough to make anyone feel a bit under the weather. I once had to vox call my Aunt Gertrude to thank her for a birthday present. I felt sick for days afterwards. The skin, the way they'd done their reed tube work to her. Oh, it was enough to make any man's stomach turn. I'm taking it
Well,
from
isn't this
silence
nice?
that I've committed a social faux pas.
Is there anything I can explain it with? Any skill?
Anything you can explain with? Let's have a look. What skills you have?
Leanne, I need a toilet. Could you bring me a toilet? Oh, God. Call yourself a wife.
Let's have a look. Cell 53, Jan. I would like you, Jan, try make an intelligence test, but it's at minus 30. And no psychics, just make a test. Minus 30, is that?
That would be a failure by 2.
Oh, okay. You don't know what you know is that it wasn't, the soothsaying ritual did not happen. And you thought that it would. You were just getting into the zone and you were sure that it was coming. It was like something stopped the question. And you remember clearly that face. And it was Lucius, but it was not Lucius. And it was something to do with the paintings.
Yeah.
But what? But why? You can't help but think that there is something hostile in that room, in those paintings. But you can't explain what's happened.
Yeah, that makes sense. In its own way, that's an answer. So, yeah, cool. Makes sense.
Okay. So you go off and get your tattoos done?
Unless you'd like to sit and talk, we're having such a lovely conversation. I don't get many visitors. Nobody ever wants to talk
Yeah,
to
but
me.
I need to come down and help you out. I can do so.
Oh, do you have skill at medicine, my good friend?
Yeah. Pretty kindly.
Very well. I mean, I often do need assistance down here. Yes, we get so busy. We have so many casualties, so many accidents, so many accidents.
That's part of the reason I'm here, good doctor.
Yes, good, yes.
Well,
I like you're here
I
for
may be
moral
able to help them with the power of the warp as well.
Yes,
Something that your instruments down here can't do. But I am skilled in conventional medicine.
I do thank you both for your help. It's so difficult, such thankless work, and it's such a risky place on board the warship. You know, so many opportunities to be to take a knock or something, or to disappear, or yes, I need all the help I can get. Thank you so much.
For real, Doctor Man, don't linger too often near the airlocks. See ya.
Oh no, I'm not that stupid. I'm not that stupid. I'd like you both to make a fellowship test, please.
What's that?
To see if you can improve your rep with the Doctor. You may have already, like I said, I've got to try and find my. Just give me a second. Let me have a look. Characters. Here we go. Reputation. So Dr. Festus Bucket. So Alexa's at +10 with Bucket. Quintius is +10 with Bucket. Yarn, you're at +10 with Bucket. So make a fellowship test at +10.
I got 1 degree of success then, if I got a +10.
Yeah, and Yarn?
-2.
Okay, so Quintius, your rep has improved. You'll get +15 with Bucket in the future.
Okay.
Yarn, maybe he just doesn't like, your kind.
Maybe he's just a racist, Jan.
Okay, so
There's no problem. We know take it.
no, I mean a problem with psychers, not black people.
Oh, right.
So
early.
I was thinking, I was thinking Santa, I was thinking that, and I was like, no, he can't mean that, surely. That's not.
Sorry, before I leave again, I'm going to say, turn to Kiyoshi and say, thank you for looking after me, Mara. Presumably,
Kyoshi, I forgot you were there.
Most people do not notice me. I say little and move like a cat.
well, you didn't move like a cat when you were in the. Maybe I need to work on your knees.
Right, Kiyoshi's going to follow Yarn to get his tattoo.
Okay, so Quintius, you've still got some time. You've really only been talking. You've still got your power play to do, really, if you want like a couple of hours. I don't know if there's anything you want to do. You know, all you've really done, really, is do a bit chatting at the minute. So it's unless there's something specific on the list you want to do, or you can just spend your time in leisure, or what. It's up to you. You've got a couple of hours of time.
So that included talking to Dr. Festus, did it, about getting number 7?
We can just.
I don't want to roleplay that out. Yeah,
no, that's fine. Yeah, well.
In that case, I'm going to, and this is something I plan on doing a few times, I'm going to ask him to start showing me some basics of, first aid.
Okay. So what we'll call this is the improve skill section in personal improvement. So you're gonna spend 2 hours on improving Medicaid, effectively, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
So yes, that's and what I'd like you to do, please, is to make an intelligence roll.
Wonderful.
And this will kind of quantify how successful this training is. Okay, you're nodding a lot, you're grinning, but you're not picking it up very fast. But as you know, you will pick it up even if you keep failing. If you make some better rolls, you'll pick it up quicker.
Yep,
okay,
no problem.
So you kind of know how it goes, Dave. So all of you have had your power play time, and you will rejoin together at the room, cell 53's room, at the end of the day. But now, because we've lost Hayden, that's where we'll end the game for tonight. We'll have an early finish. But if you've had some ideas what you could do, think ahead and kind of give me an idea of what you would do for your next days in power play, and that'll give me a chance to kind of plan rather than just winging it as always. So Yarn, your day 2 will be involved doing containment of the prescribed items. That'll be your day 2.
Okay.
So that's what we, because that's something you want to do, and that's what's going to take at least a day. But Alexa and Quintius, if you've got any ideas as to stuff, you want to give me like a heads up,
Yeah.
and that will allow me to put more time into it.
Yeah.
I
have
can
a
either
list.
do that. Yeah. You can either do that now or in between the games or whatever. So
I have a
but
list
obviously,
of things I wanted to do, and I'll send you them in the order I was going to do them.
that gives me